chamaso sanalom Muasa benge kaputo
State of the Nation.
State of the Nation with Edmund Obilo.
Dear Nigerian, the program is State of the Nation on Rave 91.7 FM. I am Edmund Obilo. It's good to be back on this edition of State of the Nation. Dear Nigerian, enough. Let's unite. It's time to fly. Mr. President, unite the land. The land is volatile. Its institutions are weak. Let's engage. Mr. President, unite the land. Artificial intelligence, robotics, autonomous vehicles, nanotechnology. The world is moving. Why are we behind? Enough. Let's unite the land. Mr. President, a leader that cannot unite a land cannot build it. Unite the land and let's take off. Nigeria can be a big power in 25 years.
On a train bound for nowhere, I met up with a gambler. We were both too tired to sleep, so we took turns of staring out the window at the darkness till boredom overtook us, and he began to speak. He said, "Son, I've made a life out of reading people's faces and knowing what the cards were by the way they held their eyes. So if you don't mind my saying, I can see you're out of aces. For a taste of your whiskey, I'll give you some advice." So I handed him my bottle and he drank down my last swallow. Then he bummed a cigarette and asked me for a light, and the night got deathly quiet, and his face lost all expression. Said, "If you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right. You got to know when to hold up, know when to fold up, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done." Every gambler knows that the secret to surviving is knowing what to throw away, knowing what to keep. 'Cause every hand's a winner and every hand's a loser, and the best that you can hope for is to die in your sleep. And when he finished speaking, he turned back toward the window, crushed out his cigarette, faded off to sleep. And somewhere in the darkness, the gambler, he broke even. But in his final words, I found an ace that I could keep. You got to know when to hold up, know when to fold up, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money.
Kenny Rogers there talking about the gambler. Dear Nigerian, it's a game. Politics is a game. In our own case, the players are ruthless. They are not playing for the land. I wonder why. You will begin to engage me by sending me a WhatsApp message or by tweeting at me. So the number for WhatsApp message is 070317597173. That's the number for WhatsApp. 070317597173. You can tweet at me. My handle is at Obilo. Copy at Rave 917 FM. At Rave 917 FM. Let's start the engagement from there. I've been wondering. I have looked at progressive states around the world, and I have come to the conclusion that states that have developed fought old traditions that limit development. Major political and social plans were launched in these countries to achieve reformation. In Europe, for instance, Protestants revolted against the religious authority of the Catholic Church, leading to the 30-year war fought from 1618 to 1648. The Peace of Westphalia of 1648 that resolved the war established the modern states of Europe. The treaty that brought about the principle of sovereignty that remains the foundation of contemporary international politics, and it checked the role of the church in government, came about as a result of the resolution of the war. The 1688 Glorious Revolution in England was a battle against old political traditions. It led to the overthrow of King James II and brought in the Bills of Rights of 1689. The overthrow of King James began modern English parliamentary democracy, and the Bill of Rights took away the absolute powers of the British monarchy. The American Revolution of 1776 was a bold move to make America be for Americans and to remove the veil of the traditional British society imposed on the system. With the Declaration of Independence, the United States followed a modern path to development, launching market reforms, introducing new technology balanced by continuous political reorganization. The United States also fought a civil war. The American Civil War was one of the catalysts that propelled it to greatness. The political class after the war made sure that justice, integrity, and the rule of law, which are features of democracy, governed the actions of Americans. It would take time to achieve it, and gradually the United States of America began to reinvent itself to fit into its creed. Slave trade and racism became subjects for public discourse, and amendments were made to accommodate everyone within the American system. The 1776 political and economic revolution in the United States helped to aggregate the feelings of the masses of France when they, in 1787, stormed the Bastille in a bloody revolution. By this time, the monarchical establishment, led by King Louis XVI, resisted the abrogation of the feudal order that denied the poor access to land. The privileged class attempt to continue to dominate France came to an end with that revolution. King Louis and his wife Antoinette were later killed, leading to the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen. By the Declaration, the power of sovereignty was transferred to the people. Loyalty to the nation rather than to the leader became the ideal. What about the Industrial Revolution in Britain and Europe? These brought about the world of machines and modern weaponry. The point I'm making is that a society aiming at development must deliberately initiate change or accidentally take advantage of it. Nigeria does not necessarily have to follow the American or European path. Japan and China followed their own paths. After the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki towards the end of World War II, Emperor Hirohito of Japan surrendered to the Allied forces on the 14th of August 1945. Then began the occupation of Japan by United States forces led by General Douglas MacArthur. Before then, Japan had never experienced occupation in its history. The occupation ended with the signing of the San Francisco Treaty of 1951. The important point here is that the occupation transformed and gave Japan the opportunity to embark on radical political and economic reforms. By the 1980s, Japan had become the second most powerful economy in the world. The country had to drop its negative old ways to become an industrial power. It launched a new political process. It initiated a vibrant economic idea to push its cause. Japan made a huge technological leap within a short period of about 20 years. Japan is presently on the verge of rearming itself to protect itself from the threats of North Korea and the not too friendly China. Japan was the strongest power in the region before World War II. It colonized Korea for a period of more than 30 years. Japan also invaded China, occupying Manchuria. In the case of Korea, the Japan-Korea Treaty of 1905 made Korean Empire a protectorate of Japan. The annexation of Korea by Japan was consolidated by the 1910 treaty between both states. From then till 1945, Japan exercised full sovereignty over Korea and subjected Koreans to various degrees of humiliation. It took the military initiatives of the United States and the Soviet Union to release Korea from the political and military grip of Japan. Japan was bombed to submission by the great powers. The use of the war was never declared over. It's just a ceasefire by both sides, the manifestation of which is the ever-increasing tension in the relations between North and South Korea. South Korea has evolved into an advanced nation, despite the harrowing imprisonment Japan offered in that period of colonialism. If not for its seclusion, North Korea has the skills for big power politics. It is wielding its scientific and technological strength in the areas of weaponry. Call North Korea a rogue state or not, what is clear is that it occupies an intense discourse in the Committee of Nations. China, in its march to development, followed the communist path, but it did not model itself after the Soviet Union. After the communist forces defeated the nationalist forces in the Civil War of China, Chairman Mao launched a social-political movement known as the Great Proletarian Cultural Revolution. The goal was to preserve the communion and eliminate capitalist forces. It succeeded, but did not bring large-scale economic prosperity to China. When Deng Xiaoping became the leader of China, he initiated reforms that launched China on the path of economic greatness. The present leader of China, Xi Jinping, is flying the Chinese flag higher. What about Nigeria? Why has Nigeria underperformed despite the huge natural and human resources it possesses? Why is Nigeria scared of deep reforms that will strengthen the state? The texture of the Nigerian state provides it a unique place in a new world order. Nigeria is an amalgam of spirited clans refusing to use their identities as a framework for remaking the state. Nigeria can send unmanned crafts to space in 20 years. Nigerian-made and equipped warships can begin to patrol the Gulf of Guinea in shows of peace and strength in 15 years. Our universities can be remade and repositioned in 10 years that they will begin to compete intensely with Cambridge and Princeton. Dear Nigerian, it is time to fly. No time. The world is moving. We cannot afford to continue to discuss the petty issues of ethnicity. We are brothers and sisters. We have the potential to be among the greatest countries in the world. I don't know if you are flowing at my rhymes. Talk to me. Edmund Obilo is on radio. Remember, the program is State of the Nation on Rave 91.7 FM. Talk to me. Are you there? Call my numbers 09056487177. Those are the numbers to call. 09024273808. You can also call 0703175977. Those are the station's numbers. Join the conversation. Hello, are you there? Make it brief, hit the nail on the head. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Olaide. I'm calling from the Diocese of Shobo.
Olaide, you listen to my analysis. The ball is in your court.
Yes,
Kick
sir.
it.
Yes, sir. I would like to say it is very difficult for Nigerians to change, to experience change, the real change that we want. This is because our leaders, our political elite, have made things so difficult for the masses, for the common men to come in or to fix things into the system. Take for instance, there's virtually nothing in Nigeria that you want to do. It has been a job, you want to run for a political office that you can do yourself by maybe by godfather, or you pay to someone or stuff like that. That has been a real problem for us. I pray God help us. Thank you.
All right, thank you for calling the radio station. Join the conversation. Call 09056487177. You can also call 09024273808. Hit the nail on the head. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Emmanuel.
Welcome, brother.
Thank you.
We miss you a lot. So this past 2 weeks, my brother, we miss you. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yes. A very good solution. Very good solution. But I like to pick a word. USA, a service to their nation and not to leaders. Get the point. So we can achieve all these things if our leaders, presently and those that are coming, will continue to give their services to this nation and not to their leaders, to their godfather. And that's the point we are having, because any of our leaders we used to have always like to please their godfathers, their political godfathers, their political friends, and their family. All these things we can achieve them.
Thank you.
If we continue to render good services to this nation.
Thank
and
you.
not to leader. Well done.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Good to hear your voice this afternoon. Join the conversation. The radio man is on radio. Remember, the program is State of the Nation on Rave 91.7 FM. The numbers to call, you have them already. Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. This is Benjamin calling from Ede.
Oh, Mr. Benjamin, it's good to hear your voice this afternoon.
We've missed you for these 2 weeks, Kara. All right, you're welcome back, eh?
Thank you.
All right, I've been listening to you. Though I didn't start from the beginning, but all the same, at the last point you made about China, I had them, and it's true. I agree with you totally. You see, Nigeria has been wasting a whole lot of time, but everything still boils down to one thing. Let me just use an example to summarize what I want to say. In a family where the father is not responsible, there is the possibility that the children also will not be responsible because the father is the leader of the house. That same thing applies to Nigeria as a nation. Nigerian leaders are not responsible at all. What makes them not to be responsible goes down to the ethnicity that you talked about. When people don't feel that these are my people, that they don't belong to here, they don't have any good thing to offer those people. Nigerian leaders, most of them think about where they are coming from, what to do to the people that belongs to them, not what to do to Nigeria as a nation. And that is the main problem. That's the principal problem we are suffering here. Now, when appointment comes, official appointments, everybody wants his people to have 1 or 2 appointments. Why? Because they want every good thing that will come into the country to go to their places. And that is the problem. So there's no way Nigeria as a nation will thrive when nobody belongs to this nation they call Nigeria.
Thank you.
They just claim that they are Nigerians, but they don't belong to this nation called Nigeria. And that is the difference. When you talk about China, when you talk about America, when you talk about Europe as nations, all these nations speak one language and they are one people. They are not different people amalgamated. They are one people, and that is why patriotism reigns in their different countries. And that is how they can achieve things. All right, let other people contribute.
Thank you, Mr. Benjamin. I appreciate you. Thank you for joining the conversation. The numbers to call 0703175917, 0902427380. You can also call 0905648717. You can send a WhatsApp message to the number 0703175917. Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. Good afternoon. My name is Aramide calling from Okada.
Aramide, good to hear from you this afternoon.
Good afternoon. What I took from the analysis is Nigeria has one of the greatest potential to make us one of the best in the world. I just want to contribute this that one day I believe all our potential that has been sent over there to develop other nations will be brought back to us by the grace of God. That's my contribution.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, sir.
Your name and where you calling from?
So this Lawal from Ofa.
Mr. Lawal, let's talk. From Kwara State.
Yes, sir. So I really love your program. I subscribed to it about 3 weeks ago. Sir, your program is supposed to be heard by virtually all the FM stations in the country. I think if you can achieve this, it will go a long way in assisting this nation. Hello, sir, are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm listening to you.
So, in fact, this your program, just as the former president said not long ago, that the nation will soon be in program with the educated, unemployed youth. I think if the educated ones among the youth can listen to these programs and they were able to digest it, I think it will go a long way in helping this country. So I pray God should assist this country.
Thank you for calling the radio station. So let's leave it at that for now. Ishotem Olainka tweeted saying that until when we all come together as one, and not some region coming out to claim born to rule proclamation. That is the point he's making. Okay, let's talk about the man called Rashid Maina. Who is Maina? You all know him. President Buhari last week ordered the sacking of Abdul Rashid Maina. Remember, he was recently reabsorbed into the civil service as a director through the offices of the Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, and the Minister of Interior, Abdurrahman Dambazo. He was posted to the Ministry of Interior and promoted to an acting director in charge of human resources. Maina was the head of the Presidential Task Force on pension reforms. He was accused of misusing an estimated 100 billion naira from the pension funds of the country. He disappeared and suddenly reappeared as a director in the civil service. This surprised many Nigerians who feel it is absurd for Maina, who has been in hiding, to have emerged to take a shining position in a regime that swore to defeat corruption in Nigeria. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission had on July 10, 2015, slammed a 24-count charge on Steve Oronsai, Abdul Rashid Maina, and others suspected to have siphoned funds from the pension unit of the head of service office. Oronsai, Maina, and others were accused of using bogus or inflated biometrics enrollment contracts, dubious collective allowances, and other schemes to steal money from the account in which pensioners' funds were kept. As head of service, Oronsai was suspected to have benefited financially from the wrong deals. How did Maina emerge? Oronsai in 2010 appointed Maina to bring changes to pension administration at the office of the head of service. As chairman of the pension reform tax team, Maina discovered massive corruption involving top civil servants managing the fund. This led to the prosecution of Shaibu and Chidi and 30 other persons slammed with a 134-count charge of conspiracy, fraud, and corruption. Also, at the police pension office, the tax team discovered another 20 billion naira fraud perpetrated by top civil servants and their aides. Reports of investigations showed that between 2008 and June 2011, the civil servants, in the name of the director of the police pension office, illegally withdrew a total of 18.1 billion naira from the police pension funds, using more than 13,000 check leaflets. Maina now stand accused of replicating the acts of those he discovered to have ransacked the national purse. In August 2012, I raised this issue of Maina with the former head of service of the Federation, Professor Oladapo Afolabi. Remember, this interview was conducted 5 years ago. What happened to the police pension fund?
Well, I'll say this to you. As a head of service, I was administering many things. And to me, when I took over, the pension was concluded as far as I was concerned, based on what was handed over to me. But of course, when I noticed after about a month or two that there were still complaints, I took it up myself in the head of service, and I got that settled, and it worked. My intervention worked. But then at a point, towards around June, a report came to me verbally by the then chairman task team on pension that things are happening in the pension office.
Are you talking about Abdul Rashid Maina?
Yes,
he came to you.
He came to me and told me that the director there was tinkering with pension fund. And I asked him, can you give me evidence? He said, please allow me to go in there so that I could find more evidence for you. So what I did was to remove the director, post a substantive director, and instructed the new director not to touch anything, but allow Maina to unravel whatever was there. But when Maina got there, he did something else, and it was very close to my time of retirement, actually about 2 weeks to end of my retirement, before I got to know that Maina was also helping himself.
At that point, what did you do?
At that point, it was too late for me, I would say, because what Maina did was to go to the Minister of Finance, the coordinating Minister of Economy, when I asked him to stop. Went to the lady and told the lady that I was stealing money. So it became an accusation. Well, I think the lady made a little bit of mistake. And the mistake was that she didn't get back to me to come ask me, this is what your subordinate told me. But instead, she went to the president to secure an authority to oversee the police pension office. Of course, when that happened, I didn't have to struggle with anybody. What I did was let the system play itself out, and you could see the outcome. They found out that Maina was lying against me only to have access to whoever that will protect him and continue to do what I wanted to do. But I say this to you, if we continue that way, the system will break down. They claimed that they paid me some money into an account that didn't belong to me. They claimed that they paid me money into an account in GTB, but actually I didn't have any account in GTB.
How much are we looking at here?
No, I think he said he paid it to my account about 1 or 2 million naira. I can't really recollect that he paid into my account, and they found out that there was no such payment. And he himself said it openly that all those who didn't travel and who didn't claim their money, he had collected the money. I don't know how he did that in any account,
Today, do you feel bad that you had to tell him to go manage that fund by the time you did?
I have a lot of regrets. I wish I knew that he had other agenda. He worked with me very, very faithfully. At least that's what I understood when he was working with me at the head of service. Had I known that he had such other paths, I wouldn't have sent him.
I listened to the Senate President. I listened to the majority leader of the Senate, Ndoma Egba. They almost sentenced Maina and his friends to death with their prayers. Most of them felt for Maina and his guys to have gone that far, they've lost their conscience, and Nigeria has lost its soul. Do you agree with them?
Let me put it this way. They have expressed their opinion, and until Maina subjects himself to full investigation and the system finds him culpable, I will not want to have an opinion. Because when I say anything now, some people will say I am reacting. And I've decided to be calm. For one reason, I know that the God that I worship is not a liar. It's a faithful God. He's going to unravel everything. It may take time. So I don't want to take the laws into my hand. If God is protecting me, let me surrender everything to God. This is why I'm hesitating to make any pronouncement. I have my opinion, but I want to leave everything to God at this point, because the thing is still on until it's concluded. And I can tell you, the God that I serve, it may take time, will bring out the truth, because Maina had attacked the system in an untoward manner. He had been pointing fingers at people, when indeed is not different from those who's pointing fingers at.
What was your relationship with the coordinating minister of the economy before you left the service?
It was good, it was cordial. There was no problem, because I know that Maina misguided her.
That was a 2012 interview with the former head of service of the Federation, Professor Ladakbo Afolabi. At the time, the Maina subject provoked angry reactions from Nigerians, like is happening in recent times. The then Senate President, David Mark, could not hide his disgust while speaking on the Maina subject on the floor of the Senate.
This, to me, is not just a monumental fraud. It's a national disgrace and an embarrassment. Whether it is to dead or living Nigerians, no amount of recommendation here is enough punishment for all those who are involved. Not one. It doesn't matter what we recommend today. It will be nothing close to the punishment that they deserve. But as human beings, we'll just do our recommendation, and we hope that the Almighty God will see them to hell when they die.
After that prayer, 5 years after, the Maina case has resurfaced. Nothing has been done by the Nigerian state in the true sense of the word to check the menace and the problem that the investigation of Maina left on the heart of the Nigerian civil service. In a statement announcing the dismissal of Maina, President Buhari also ordered an investigation into how Maina came to be recalled. How did he find himself back in the system? On the 27th of April 2017, the Attorney General ordered the Federal Civil Service Commission to review Mr. Maina's case. The Federal Civil Service Commission met on the 14th of June 2017 to review the matter. On the 21st of June 2017, the Federal Civil Service Commission wrote through the office of the head of service to the Ministry of Interior, conveying the directive of the Attorney General of the Federation for Maina's case to be reviewed and determined. Based on that, the Ministry of Interior, at its senior staff committee meeting held on the 22nd of June 2017, considered the case and recommended that Mr. Maina be reinstated as a deputy director on grade level 16, among other things. This recommendation was forwarded through the office of the head of service of the Federation to the Federal Civil Service Commission for approval. On the 14th of August 2017, the head of service of the Federation forwarded the recommendation of the Committee of the Ministry of Interior to the Federal Civil Service Commission. On the 16th of August 2017, the Federal Civil Service Commission met and approved the reinstatement of Maina as a deputy director with effect from the 21st of February 2017 and even recommended him to sit for promotion exams. On the 22nd of September 2017, the decision of the Federal Civil Service Commission was conveyed to the head of service of the Federation and asked to deliver the original letter of reinstatement to Rashid Maina. What is the summary here? The Attorney General of the Federation directed or initiated the action. The Ministry of Interior Affairs recommended the action. The Federal Civil Service Commission approved the action. The head of service of the Federation was merely conveying the actions. Meanwhile, the head of service of the Federation, Winifred Oyoita, has accused the Minister of Interior, General Abdulrahman Dambazo, of lying against her, following his earlier claim that her office posted Maina to the Ministry of Interior as a director. The head of service of the Federation, in a statement, said she neither approved Maina's reinstatement nor promotion to the rank of an acting director and posting to the Interior Ministry as head of human resources. It was also reported on Monday that the head of service of the Federation, Winifred Oyoita, said that President Muhammadu Buhari is aware of the reinstatement of Maina into the civil service. She said she warned the president against it. Oyoita said that her warning was based on the implications such reinstatement would have on the anti-corruption war of the federal government. The Department of State Services, DSS, also washed his hands off the affair, saying it did not smuggle the embattled officer into his new office while on the wanted list of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The DSS in a statement said it has no hand in the recall or reinstatement of Abdul Rashid Maina. Professor Issa Sage, chairman of the Presidential Advisory Committee on Anti-Corruption, has called for the prosecution of those who absorbed Maina back into the service. Meanwhile, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has raided houses belonging to Maina in Abuja and sealed them off. Maina reportedly bought one of the mansions with $2 million while serving as the chairman of the Presidential Task Force on Pension Reforms in 2012. Maina was sacked from the civil service in 2013 and was placed on the wanted list of Interpol by the EFCC. The presidency has been making different comments about the Maina saga. In one of the statements, the presidency said that some influential officials loyal to the previous government may have been the invisible hand in the latest scandal that saw the return of Maina to the public service despite being on the EFCC wanted list. The presidency said that everything will be uncovered in due course. A former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, has replied the presidency. His statement reads, "It is ridiculous to say that Jonathan's loyalists brought Maina back into service. Is it his loyalists that are in government? Somebody who has left office over 2 years, his loyalists still brought in a fugitive to power." Jonathan said, "It is laughable." He asked again, "Is it his loyalists that also promoted him and made him an acting director from the position of an assistant director?" Jonathan in his statement says it is funny and it doesn't make any sense. What do you think? What is your own statement? The numbers to call is 070-317-59177, 090-242-73808. You can also call 090 564-87177. Remember to make your statement as brief as possible. I will give you 1 minute to make your argument. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello. Good afternoon, how are you?
I'm fine.
Comrade Alarakwe is on the line from Oshobo.
Comrade Alarakwe, it's good to hear your voice.
From Oshobo. Well, I thank you so much for this information given to us. But the situation in Nigeria is very, very funny. We don't know what is going to be the future of the children yet unborn. If this is continue the way it's going, I just want to advise Mr. President to look inward and reshuffle his cabinet. He said in operation that it belongs to everybody and he doesn't know anybody. But the fact is the case. God bless Nigeria. Thank you.
Hello, remember that the head of service is saying that the president knew about it. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. This is Sunny Ajayi from Akure. Well done for your program and for the narrative. It's so good. You see, I have a different view about this Maina. Maina also is talking from wherever he is right now. And I think what we should do as a nation is to give him all the necessary security he deserves. Let him come to the open and open the can of worms. By saying the kind one thing and this and that, the people know where he is. As he said, he has all the lists and the files and the rest of them. Please let the nation assure him of security and let him be brought out. Then he can be brought out to justice or just can be, can be taken to him. God bless you. I love your program. Thank you.
Thank you for joining the conversation. Hello, good afternoon. My name is Edmund Obilo, Mr. Emmanuel.
Well done, my brother.
Thank you.
My brother, I have gotten every information I needed about this Maina. Having said that, federal government has been aborted everything about fighting corruption. This one about Maina is one unending scenario that is still surprising to me to tomorrow. And one of the laughable and absurd statements about this Maina is that one you just finished now. Saying that Jonathan loyalists bring Maina. When will these current governors stop the blame game? They don't know how to take responsible to anything. Responsibility. I don't just know. You always blame everything. Now if race sees now, they will say it is Goodluck Jonathan. They must learn to take responsibility. That is why we elect them.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, Emmanuel. I love Emmanuel. And I love you too. For always joining the conversation. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon. Oh, Mr. Lawal, can you speak up, sir?
Yeah. At times when you listen to news that break in Nigeria, you'll be lost. Maybe you should set this for Nigeria, or you should laugh over this theater of absurdity. The making of the monster Maina does not, it doesn't just start today. That man has been in the system and he has understood the system and he knew how to make that system. And collaborators in that system that we should fish out. Remember, the AGF said he broke down for the good of Nigeria, that he acted for the good of Nigerians. That is one. Look at the end of service. He said he reported Maina's statement to the president. He said verbally. In the same service, you report things verbally. The president has also been accused of knowing about the statement of the Maina. I think the way forward is that they should find Maina. Those people that brought him back know. They know where now. They should bring him back and the man should come and name names. There are people that have been making the system. We have many Maina in the Nigerian civil service. It is not just Abdulrashid Maina. Many Mainas are there that they have been stealing our money. They have been making this nation. That is why the rest of us are suffering. We should push them out so that we will be proud of our nation. Enough is enough. God will help us.
Thank you. Thank you for calling the radio station. Hello. Good afternoon. Okay, I have to let that caller go. Turn down the volume of your radio, sir. No time. Hello, are you there? Good afternoon.
Yeah, this is Ademola from Mutugo.
Ademola, I'm happy to hear your voice. Hello, Ademola, you are breaking.
I have the little thing to say about the Maina case. I will start by saying this. The issue is beyond what we ordinary people are looking at. And from Kaba, around President Ramon Buhari that is responsible for the fall of the and those people are to be taken responsible because I think, from my own perspective, they took care from the money may not see. And I want President Buhari to investigate this issue appropriately.
Do you still trust President Buhari in all this matter?
I trust him personally, not the government.
Why? You can see what is going on. So why do you trust him? Normally the buck stops on the president table. So why do you trust him?
I trust him personally, like I said. Personally, because some of the actions before prove him to be innocent. But if probably I want to trust him completely. This minor issue will make Nigerians to be totally. Because the head of service, Obilo, said he mentioned his name that he was aware of the all of me, So probably at the end of this issue, if we find out that he knew about the issue, he must come out to defend himself well. And if he fails to come out and defend himself well, he's not no more innocent.
Thank you. Hello. Good afternoon.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Adekunle Abukede from Ede.
Mr. Adekunle, we want to hear your opinion.
You see, sometimes when I look at Nigeria, I don't see any hope that this corruption war is going to be successful. Mr. President, that's supposed to be our last hope, is being accused that he knows about bringing Maina back to the government. Let Mr. President come out and speak against the head of service. Thank you.
Thank you for joining the conversation. Hello. You are on the road, so that line is not clear, okay? I know how you feel. Hello. Please turn down the volume of your radio.
Hello, afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, my name is Lawrence. I'm calling from Elita.
Mr. Lawrence, turn down the volume of your radio, sir.
Okay. You see, the issue of Maina is not only the issue of Maina we are talking about now. You remember the head of civil service that they was indicted by the Senate. Before, it took a long time before this president sacking. The issue of money recovered at Ikoyi, whatever. They swept under the carpet. The one that they say NFPC of recent, that one is still there. All these things, they are just piling up. When the outside the country, they will be listening to us, they will just be laughing at us that we are not serious. I wonder what type of this government, I don't even know what type of corruption they are fighting. It is a very serious issue. So the president and all his cabinet should be advised either they should just step down and let people capable handle. The Attorney General himself is not competent. He's not competent to handle the situation of the justice that he has been doing.
He is a senior advocate of Nigeria.
Yes.
He's a senior advocate.
Doing a lot of things. Huh?
You said he's not competent, and I'm telling
he's not competent.
He's a senior advocate of Nigeria.
Of course, he's not competent. I'm sorry to say it.
Okay. You have made your
point.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, we'll leave the calls for now. Let me play you a song to calm the tension. Don Williams here.
Rave 91.7 FM.
still alive in Hollywood, that gasoline's in short supply, the rising cost of getting by, but I believe in love. I believe in old folks. I believe in children, and I believe
Daganan kilo vegenin kom no more. Di pejamaso sanalom. Muasa benge kaputo.
State of the Nation.
State of the Nation with Edmund, Obilo.
President Muhammadu Buhari has assented to the Northeast Development Commission Bill 2017. The act establishes the Northeast Development Commission. The commission has the mandate to receive and manage funds allocated by the federal government and international donor agencies for the resettlement, rehabilitation, integration, and reconstruction of the Northeast geopolitical zone, a zone that has been ravaged by the Boko Haram insurgency. The Commission will, among other things, coordinate projects and programs within the master plan for the sustainable development of the zone. This will be done in the field of infrastructure, human and social services, including health and nutrition, education and water supply. There will also be interventions in the areas of agriculture, wealth creation, and employment opportunities. Urban and rural development and poverty alleviation are also part of the core mandate of the Commission. The Commission will equally liaise with other stakeholders on the tackling of humanitarian, ecological, and environment and protected from the menace of corruption. He speaks from the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Senator Enang, President Muhammadu Buhari has assented to the Northeast Development Commission Bill 2017. This has been long in coming. How does the President feel about this development?
The President is very excited that finally all the efforts of the government to coordinate the assistance and relief to the Northeast, the war-ravaged people of Borno, Adamawa, have been legalized in form of a law. This law establishes the Northeast Development Commission with the responsibility to develop war-ravaged areas, take care of migrants and internally displaced persons, provide homes for them, provide for the reconstruction of the area, coordinate aid from aid agencies, coordinate the response in terms of civil and military assistance, that does not include defense.
Is this the beginning of the good things to come to the Northeast?
No, sir. It is the continuation of all the good things that we've been doing, that President Muhammadu Buhari has been doing for the Northeast and other parts of the country. Don't forget, in Nigeria, when there was so much agitation in the South, first there was the Oil Mineral Producing Areas Development Commission, and when the money was not enough, it it was changed to the Niger Delta Development Commission with a higher level of funding. But in fact, when you look at the provisions for funding, it is also the same as is in the, it is materially the same, except that there is a higher allocation in one, depending on how much revenue you generate within the, generated within the area. So it is the continuation of the good things that we've been doing.
The Commission has the mandate to receive and manage funds allocated to solve the problems of the Northeast. Will this objective not be consumed by the usual Nigerian culture of amazing corruption?
It will not, because this is under the eagle eyes of President Muhammadu Buhari. And the people are yet to be constituted. When they are constituted, they will be properly inaugurated. When they are inaugurated, they will know that it is Buhari that is in charge, and you can't afford to do otherwise than work according to the operational procedure and the dictates of Mr. President and his anti-corruption mantra.
How soon would the commission take off?
Well, the law having been signed, it is now for Mr. President to look at the law, look at the persons to be appointed, and then the persons nominated and inaugurate the commission. So it's a matter that will happen soon.
The commission will, among other things, coordinate projects and programs within the master plan for the rehabilitation, resettlement, reconciliation, and sustainable development of the Northeast Zone. I am yet to lay my hands on the art. Does the commission have a lifespan?
Well, the commission, in my opinion, having read it, does not have a lifespan properly so-called. It is to carry out its mandate up to when its job is done.
And this can be 100 years?
I would not think so, but I think the problem will be solved, and when it is solved, there will be no need for a continuation.
Considering the seasonal raid of Boko Haram on civilian and military targets, is the commission going to operate from the zone?
Yes, it is going to operate from there because it must experience what it must be on ground. Yes.
There is the talk of a master plan for stabilization and development of the Northeast by the federal government. Is the master plan ready or in the pipeline?
The master plan is what has been prepared by the different ad hoc committees, including Presidential Initiative on Northeast, which is now has to be integrated into this commission and the other committee and the other body that was headed by Danjuma, and even the one that I think the Dangotes were assisting. All of them have to come into it, and whatever all the effort and work that we're doing on getting the master plan and so on ready is going to be inherited and continued by this new body that is just set up by Mr. President.
In a statement recently released by you, you pointed out that the commission will be saddled with the responsibility of coordinating civil-military confidence building, stabilization measures, and activities that lie within the civil-military interface, especially before, during, and after military and security operations. What exactly were you trying to state?
You know, sometimes in managing an area, you get a situation where there is mutual suspicion between the military authorities and the civil populace. I'm sure again that you notice that part of the successes that the military recorded in the Northeast during the heat days of Boko Haram was when they formed the civilian JTF. And so it was part of civilian military interface that helped it come to be. Therefore, it is part of what the commission is to do, is to make sure that they build the confidence of the civil populace in the military and build the confidence of the military that they have the support of the civil populace so that they can work together, so that they can receive intelligence information, so that they can avoid the insurgents marauding as if they were soldiers on the other part, or infiltrating the defense, or the insurgents infiltrating the civilian population, including schools, markets, and all public places. This is what it is intended to do.
So practically, the commission has nothing to do with the control of the military in the zone?
It definitely doesn't have anything to do with it. The president is the commander-in-chief of the military, and it has a commander. There is the Minister of Defense, there is the Minister, the Chief of Army Staff, there is the all other bodies. But this one is for reconstruction, rehabilitation, reintegration, and execution of the master plan.
The program is State of the Nation. I'm speaking with the senior special.
The sermon during the national prayer breakfast of the National Assembly, you would have heard the history of conflict and how much Nigerian government has been spending. And Mr. President has declared that you must secure a country, you must secure a state, you must secure a nation before you can govern. And if the injury to one is injury to the other, and the Constitution says that if there is any aspect of any part of Nigeria which is physically involved in war, there shall be no election. And so democracy is jeopardized. And so the president does not want to allow any part of the country to be physically in war. And so having secured it, he has to make provision in the budget for the welfare of the people of this area. Mind you, the National Assembly made this law. And the National Assembly is made up of members from all parts of the country, Senate and House of Representatives. Therefore, it is not true that the president is posing resources to the Northeast. It is the people of Nigeria represented in the National Assembly who agrees with the president that injury to one is injury to all, that they should pull resources to the Northeast to make it secure. This is where we have food from. There is search for oil there, and there is oil discovered there. If we get oil from the Chad Basin, from the Sokoto Basin, if that is so, what stops us from making it secure? So that we can get revenue as we're getting from other parts to help the country. So it is not correct to say that the president is pushing resources to this part of the country.
Some would ask you, if the Northeast Development Commission is good for the Northeast, why not a Southeast Development Commission too for the Southeast, considering the huge ecological problems that Southeast states are facing?
Now, that one says it is a mono problem, the ecological. And the one that was strengthening the area, the IPOT and MASOP matter, it was properly addressed when the python just attempted to dance. It didn't dance, but the matter was resolved. Now, the ecological problem is being fully addressed by the ecological fund. If you look at disbursement of ecological fund, you will see that a lot of it goes to the Southeast. And again, you will also see that the governors of the Southeast also receive money for ecological fund, like other governors receive. So they have attention. And again, when you see that there is attention given to the North, South, Southeast in terms of appointment, and of course, the people of the Southeast, our Igbo brothers, Igbo Kwenu. Now, they are very resourceful, very energetic, very Republican, very industrious people, and very peaceful people. Now, you do not say that they have to face they do not pray for this kind of situation that is happening in the Northeast so that the attention will be turned to them. No. They enjoy their peace. They enjoy the peace they're enjoying so that they can go on with their industrialization and economy.
Before we round off this interview, I just want to touch on a subject that everyone is concerned about. Is this government really serious about the fight against corruption?
It is very, very serious, and we're taking every step to secure and ensure that it is done. That corruption is fought preemptively, and fought reactively, and fought reactionarily. Therefore, we are serious. You'll agree that wherever any of these things arise, it is addressed. But what we're now going to do, what the president has decided now to do, is to make sure that he strengthens the internal controls of each system, of all the agencies, so that as to avoid this kind of things arising. I'm sure you'll agree that no corruption can take place in any agency without the people of those agencies cooperating. You'll agree that a minister or a director general does not bring out money. It is the permanent secretary that brings out money. It is his signature that brings, because he's the accounting officer. So, if the permanent secretaries and the internal auditors and the accountants cooperate and agree in fighting, these are civil servants who have always been there under the Obasanjo, Yaradua, Jonathan administrations. I think we don't just have to look at politicians. We now have to turn attention to the action of the civil servant.
And we are sure that the Northeast Development Commission will be protected from the hawks and the civil service.
I will believe so, but there must be the civil service system that works there. There must be recruitment of persons to work in that commission.
The buck stops on the president's table.
Yes, it does, but the president has delegated some of this power to different persons to handle, and even the constitution has delegated. So the president is not doing the work of the permanent secretary. Even the president's signature does not give cash to anybody unless it is approved and effected by a permanent secretary and civil servant. Therefore, we must look beyond the desk of the executives or the politicians in the fight against corruption.
Senator Eta Enang, thank you for featuring on State of the Nation.
Thank you very much.
Speaking there with Senator Eta Enang, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on National Assembly matters. You would recall that as a result of stakeholder agreement in the Jonathan administration, the conceptualization of the Presidential Initiative for the Northeast, coordinated by the Office of the National Security Advisor, was inaugurated. In addition, the federal government mobilized private sector support through the Victims Support Fund, which is utilized for the purpose of lessening the burden of Nigerians affected by conflicts, including those in the Northeast. The Northeast Development Commission is a more comprehensive approach to tackle the huge devastation the war on Boko Haram has wreaked on the region. The Northeast geopolitical zone of Nigeria covers close to 1/3 of Nigeria's land area. It comprises 6 states, Adamawa, Bauchi, and Borno State. The other states are Gombe, Taraba, and Yobe. The zone shares international borders with 3 countries: the Republic of Cameroon to the east, the Republic of Chad to the northeast, and Niger Republic to the north. The Northeast Zone has been a major contributor to national net food production, yet it has the worst socio-economic conditions in Nigeria. If the figures of the National Bureau of Statistics are anything to go by, the Northeast geopolitical zone has the highest rate of poverty in Nigeria. What do you have to say? The lines are open. Call the numbers 090-564-871-77, 090-242-73808. You can also call 070-317-591-77. Remember, the subject is the Northeast Development Commission. You listen to that interview with Senator Eta Enang. What do you have to say? The numbers to call 090-564-871-77. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm Michael James calling from Ilobo.
Mr. James, good to hear your voice.
Regarding to the situation of Northeast Development Commission that has just been assented by the President, here is my take. Although it is good to look at certain situations in the country, thereby approving or budgeting certain funds to such a region of the country to sustain peace and coexistence of Nigeria state. That is good, but my concern is that if only this is done with a good will. Hello?
I'm with you.
If and only this is done with a good will. That is my stand. So my little contribution to the discourse here is that I beg the President to be very careful in constituting the committee so that his anti-corruption war mantra, or rather his anti-corruption mantra that has been on the lingering here in the mind of people before 2015 should continue as expected.
Thank you.
By the average Nigerian citizenry.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. James. Thank you. Hello, join the conversation. 070317591177. You can also call 0902427380. Hey, turn down the volume of your radio. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
This is Ademola calling back.
Okay, Ademola, good to hear you again.
Yeah, thank you, my brother. My own take on the issue is in order to bring fairness and justice, and if it not
you see, your line is not clear. Your line is not clear, Mr. Ademola. Or you speak up, sir.
My own take is that my own take is that for President Muhammadu Buhari to bring justice and fairness, we should have all of these things, all the region. That's my take.
All right, he wants the Southwest Development Commission. Hello. All right, join the conversation. My name is Edmund Obilo, and the program is State of the Nation, reaching you from Rave 91.7 FM. Hello.
Well done, my brother.
Emmanuel.
Well done, sir.
Thank you for calling again.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not surprised. I'm not disappointed anyway. It's a good thing anyway. But one thing I know, anything that concerns the North always attracts a good response from the president. But nevertheless, with the submission of a finance, I want to say what he's saying, even if there is anything more than Southeast Development Commission to the Southeast, Southeast deserve more than that, because there are a lot of things, even right after the Civil War, there are a lot of things that have gone very bad in the Southeast, and they are not talking about that. And I want to say, now that most things from the South, our crude oil, will now be used in maintaining the Northeast, which their problem is self-inflicted. You know, it just started like a play. Now we have the issue of Zakazi and co, and the government is not taking prompt response about it. Now they must appoint people that are with clean hands and clean heads to monitor them, so that our resources from the South and other places in this country will not go down the drain. So the force of the ox,
but Emmanuel, is this not one Nigeria anymore?
My brother,
the way you are claiming our resources being taken to the north.
It is for our resources from the east, from the west, from the south. That is it. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you for joining the conversation. Okay, we'll leave this subject. Okay, let's take this last call on this particular subject. Hello. Hello, you there? Okay, bye-bye. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, make your point.
Yeah, Mr. Oshono from Oshobo.
Okay, good to hear you.
Yeah. I want to comment you on the issue of the Northeast development, whatever. Just like my brother has said, any issue concerning the North, the president is always quick to act. But the assuming in other places, he will not even know that that this is one Nigeria or that is the president of all. My brother has said it all. After Biafra war, federal government has never paid attention to the Southeast. It's only barely for how many days now that we are hearing that they want to do this, they want to do that. Why now? And I want Nigerians to take good note of what is happening now. You know that our president now is behind division in this country. And I want him to know.
Is behind what?
Division, because there is division in the land.
Okay.
Yes, he is behind it and he's promoting it, and we have all seen it. So that Northeast development, for now, I didn't believe that Mr. President will start now. We start that now because Boko Haram, they are still bombing. They are still doing many things. They can go there to Timoruna and do something and leave there immediately.
these boys will come to that place and destroy it. And our money that is coming from the southeast and south will be wasting. So I don't believe that is not the wise idea for now. Thank you.
Thank you. That's the last call on this subject. This our money thing. Our money. I thought we were one. All right, I'll leave you with this song by Asha. I'll be back after this break, so don't go away.
Rave 91.7 FM.
We don't have to go to 360 degrees. Now it's time we go the 180. You don't have to climb the highest mountains, for all you're looking for is within you. Open the eyes of your mind, your ears and mouth, as I sing my song. Open the eyes of your mind, your ears and mouth, as you hear my words. Oh, ba-da-da-ba-ba-da-day, ba-da-da-ba-ba-da-day. I'll be waiting. I'll be home. Ba-da-da-ba-ba-da-day, ba-da-da-ba-ba-da-day. I'll be waiting. I'll be. We still live in yesterday. Many today the waste away, but nevertheless it's never late. Oh, see the times have changed. I thought you knew that this world would never ever wait for you. The world has gone past times of fighting. So drop your guns and your swords and let us live all as one. We all need love and understanding. So drop your guns and your swords and let us live all as one. Oh, ba-da-da-ba-ba-da-day, ba-da-da-ba-ba-da-day. I'll be waiting. Oh, I'll be. Every nation across the ocean is more than just a goddess. We all need one another. Oh, oh. Ba-da-da-ba-ba-da-day, ba-da-da-ba-ba-da-day. I'll be waiting for you, for you, you and you. I've been waiting for you, every people, wherever you be, it's more than just a color.
Nakana kilo bejening home no more. Di beja maso sanalom. Muasa benge kaputo.
State of the Nation.
State of the Nation with Edmund Obilo.
Let's look at the question of political power in a society. I'll be a bit theoretical, but I'll be simple enough. You see, the subject of political power underlines the real motive and objectives behind the political activities and institution building processes within a political society. It explains the struggle to gain, exercise, and control power among organized groups within a political system. In the case of Nigeria, if the struggle for power was to address the fundamental problems of ethnic dominance, social and economic justice, the rule of law, issues of human rights and equality needed for well-organized society, it would have been a competition in progress. It would have been seen as power as a means to make social action possible. But that's not the case of political power in Nigeria. There are different forms of power. There are political, economic, and ideological power. Ideological power is the arguments and beliefs upon which a political system is hinged. These precepts are mostly crafted and pursued by the dominant actors in the system. According to Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels in their work written in 1846, the ideas of the ruling class are in every epoch the ruling ideas. Their point is that the class which owns the means of material production in any society also controls the means of mental production, meaning that they will also control political power. If you've read Gramsci's work on hegemony, written in 1971, you would find that the ruling class, through their superior cultural and spiritual instincts, manipulates society in their own interest, thus becoming the definers of the ideological basis of the state. I have discussed this issue with Dr. Festus Adidayo. He's a political scientist and a journalist. As 2019 approaches, there is the need for Nigerians to see the political process from a knowledge perspective so that they will know how to make their choices as the system unravels. I bring you an interview I had with Dr. Festus Adidayo. I like a quote in your work. You made reference to the work of Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. Yep. And these intellectuals said that the ideas of the ruling class are in every epoch the ruling ideas. Do you agree with them?
Yes, I agree with them, with both Marx and Engels. And I did say in that work that their notion of power is like a precursor to the work that I did. Of course, a precursor to the works of Antonio Gramsci, who propounded a theory of hegemony, and later works that came from it. What Marx and Engels were saying was that the dominant class in a society, because they have access to the mental power of that society, so they are able to define the way society is run. Meaning that he who has access to mental domination is actually the dominant part.
And they looked at the word mental domination from this angle by saying that a class which has the means of material production at its disposal has control at the same time over the means of mental production. I'm interested in material production. How do elites attain material production?
Yes, material production, according to the conception of Marx and Engels, is the material production of society in terms of the wealth of society, in terms of power, in terms of the way society is run. It's the material production. The material production is the essence of society. So Marx and Engels were saying that whoever has control of that material production has control of the mental production of society. I mean, the way people reason. It's like you're saying that they are your slaves. You can determine, you can actually fiddle with them like a marionette.
So basically, having access to wealth is a way to directing society in a direction you want.
Something like that. It's like Marx and Engels were just telling us the naked truth of society. It's like this work tends to argue. Those who have access to material wealth of society, those who have, and by that very fact, having access to the way society reason, are like the ones who colonize society.
So we can now understand why members of the political class will have every reason to steal to be wealthy.
Exactly. I tell you, material production of society is actually very crucial in the determination of power struggle. And if you take a cursory look at the power struggles of every society, you discover that he who has control of material production, ipso facto has power over mental production, and as such is the dominant factor. That's why no matter how rich your ideas are, if you do not have access to material production, you will be going nowhere.
You made mention of the roles of intellectuals.
Yeah.
Can those who have material or who are in charge of material production, in your own estimation, also be called intellectuals?
Yeah, the intellectuals are not really the way we define intellectuals today. The intellectuals of society, in the estimation of Karl Marx and in further estimation of Antonio Gramsci in the theory of hegemony and domination, are the defining class of society. They are the ones who run society. They are the ones who are imbued with leadership qualities, and they provide that leadership that defines the essence of society.
Awolowo was an
intellectual leader.
So from that definition, Tinubu is an intellectual leader?
Yes, I think in a way you could say that Tinubu provides intellectual leadership for this part of the country in terms of the fact that either overtly or covertly, it determined the political tone and tenor of the Southwest, or it decided the political tone and tenor of Southwest. So you could call him an intellectual leader. But intellectual leadership is also moral leadership. It's political leadership, it's social leadership. It's a leadership that defines society. It's like they are the ones who actually spell the way forward, who dictate the way forward to the people.
So where do we place the likes of Festus Adedayo in this definition of intellectualism?
No, it doesn't. I don't think. Maybe in my very small hub of maybe my community, my small community, maybe, I mean, if you look at it from the kind of leadership that I offer, it's not strictly about maybe you have a PhD, you have a master's. You could be a mechanic who has that disposition, that leadership quality. Because if you look at the rump of leaders of the Southwest in the First Republic, they were people that you could call, in terms of achievements, Flotsam and Jetsam. It wasn't as if they had money. They didn't have money, but they had leadership quality. But of course, virtually all of them were also products of Ivy League universities. They had visions of society. Awolowo, for instance, was able to gather them together into that role of leadership of society.
So what I can take away here is this: those who want to control societal ideas must, to a very large extent, control material production.
Exactly. It is almost a sine qua non of leadership of society, and you see it reflecting even in our society today.
Does that explain why somewhat we are backward?
It's the structural composition of a capitalist society, and it's something that you may not really be able to avoid. It's the composition of society. You find it in America, you find it in virtually all societies of the world.
Does this mean it is legitimate for me to go any length to acquire material wealth in order to control society mentally?
No, but even if you go to any length, quote and unquote, to acquire material production power, there's also what is called moral leadership. Would you be able to have that moral leadership? There are people who are stupendously wealthy today, who even have ideas and vision, but society does not give them that leadership. So it's also about morality. It's about the estimation of that material production that you claim to possess.
Who defines morality in our own case?
It's society. Society defines it. Of course, there's a shift in perception of morality. You understand? The perception of morality of the First Republic that accentuated the political powers of people like Ogbenyiwa Rewane, people like Akeola Maja, people like Obafemi Awolowo. You cannot compare that same level of moral estimation with the moral estimation that we have in society now. For instance, if you could go into public office, steal money, and you come back, you rationalize it. And because there's a shift in perception of morality, people are likely to accept that leadership as legitimate. But it's also legitimacy that is provided by the core of the lead.
In giving the historical events of pre-independence, you described how Ibadan people celebrated Adelabu in spite of a report that indicted him of taking the money that did not belong to him.
Yes.
And Ibadan sang his praise.
Yes.
And told him it was their money. He should spend it the way he liked.
Yes.
Is that the morality you just talked about?
Yes. Is of course Adelabu rather represented a leadership that was actually different from the leadership that the likes of Awolowo represented in the First Republic. Don't forget that the Adelabu story was a consequence of an intra-national wrangling between the Jebus, the Abeokutas, and the Ibadans. Of course, if you go into history, you discover that Ibadan was building a power base that was like a behemoth. And of course, they needed to transport some of their goods through Abeokuta and Ijebu. And the Ijebu people rose against the construction of power that the Ibadans were at that moment involved in. It led to a war. That's why the Jebus and the Egbas had to go into alliance with the Lawrence, and the war was really intense. And so that intra-national crisis spilled over to the time when Egbe Omodudua was established in London in 1945, was also launched in 1950, and Awolowo started to build a power base of a new crop of intellectuals in the Southwest. And Ibadan rose against it. Ibadan people said that they were not going to be they were not going to play second fiddle to their traditional enemies. And Awolowo, came from a nation, the Jebu nation, that was a traditional enemy of the Ibadan people. That was why in 1954, 1956, 1959, or thereabout, IPP, Ibadan People's Party, which was earlier Mabolaje, Ibadan People's Party, trounced the action group in those elections.
And as even a countermeasure, you mentioned in the work that Egbe Omo Ibile was formed to counter Egbe Omo Oduduwa.
Yes, I mean, Adelabu didn't hide his disdain for Awolowo and his group. And of course, he established the Egbe Omo Ibile as a counterpoise to Egbe Omo Oduduwa. But his death in 1958 actually fizzled the kind of counter-hegemonic power base that he was building.
And these are the kind of struggle that still defines Nigeria's politics. Because in this work, while you interpreted the songs that Ibadan sang for Adelabu, isn't the money ours? Go ahead, spend it as you please. Does this remind you of what happened with James Ibori?
There's a similitude between what happened in Ibadan in 1956 with Adelabu Adegoke and what happened in Ogara to James Ibori, because the Ogara people were saying that in spite of the cries of the Nigerian nation, this is our son, our beloved son, in whom we are well pleased. No matter the accusations of humongous theft of national money, in any case, don't forget that the people in the nations, the Yoruba nations or wherever, do not believe that the nation as a collective belongs to everybody. They believe that whoever they send there as a representative, whatever is able to make there, it brings it back here, and then it becomes a hero. But if you do that in Ibadan, for instance, or maybe your landlord's association, if you steal their money, you are going to sing the song that Judas sang on his way to Akeldama. They are going to really seek your destruction. But if you could steal at the national level, bring the money to your society, and you become a hero. So there's a similitude in them.
What defines our morality then from these two instances, Ibori and Adelabu? We can see it's consistent.
Yes, it's consistent, but don't forget that in 1960s Adelabu Adegoke, it was far between. It wasn't a morality that was widespread. But that morality is widespread now. You find out that those who steal public money still come back to their local bases and they are given chieftaincy titles. It's not, people do not frown at stealing of public wealth to make good at the state level or at the personal level. And of course, it reminds us of the fact that the nation does not belong to anybody. It belongs to everybody. And because it belongs to everybody, it does not have ownership.
Discussing there with Dr. Festus Adidayo, we were discussing his PhD thesis in data analysis. Still talking about the class perspective of power developed by Marx and Engels. These men are saying that the class perspective vests power in the ownership of the means of production, resulting in a rich class controlling power at the detriment of workers who constitute the dependent class. This can lead to class conflict, they concluded. I don't know if you've laid your hands on a book entitled On Violence, written in 1970 by Hannah Arendt. Hannah's view in the book, or if she views rather, the use of force by political leaders to achieve their wish as violence. Power in her definition, keeps the public space united. Why violence? Ham said. Hannah Arendt argues that power belongs to the people. She says that power emanates from the consent of the people and does not need violence for it to be legitimized. In her work, The Achievement of Power takes the form of political institutions. She holds the view that where genuine power is absent, violence may emerge to fill the gap. In this regard, the effectiveness of power is in the creation of an egalitarian society administered by a legitimate authority endorsed by community agreement. Is this concept not best for Nigeria? Is Nigeria an egalitarian society? I am just raising questions. Why has Nigeria underperformed despite the huge natural and human resources it possesses? Why is Nigeria scared of deep reforms that will strengthen the state? Why is Nigeria still very much interested in the system that allows the rich access to national wealth? By implication, giving political power to those who control wealth but lack the knowledge to develop the state. What are the drawbacks of the Nigerian state? There are many reasons. But Dr. Olisa Mwajama of the Department of History, University of Ibadan, takes a historical look at the issue of religion and the need for the rapid development of Nigeria's technological and industrial capacity. The program is State of the Nation. Africa had science.
Of course.
What destroyed our science?
Yes, it's rise and fall, as I told you, and again, the movement of the original Egyptians out of the African soil. I can cite typical examples of the kind of sciences developed by Africans in the ancient world, which we can no longer find in this modern world. I gave you the example that Egyptians were the first set of people to discover time. Time was never known in the history of the world. Then secondly, you talk of medical science. Before, people were not even curing their diseases using medicine. It was what we are doing today, praying, using religion to cure illnesses. It was Imhotep, Egyptian Imhotep, who was the first person to discover that we can use medical science to cure illnesses. Then 2,000 years after Imhotep lived and died, Hippocrates came on board. That's the problem we have, because today, most of the things we generated in Africa have been appropriated by the West. If you read all the documents existing about the history of medicine, they have attributed it to Hippocrates, who is not even African. All the students of medical sciences, when they graduate and they want to practice, they must be made to swear to Hippocratic oaths on the condition that medicine was discovered by Hippocrates. But that's not true. The first person in the world to practice medical science was Imhotep from Egypt. Now, if you talk of, as I was telling you about time, the Egyptians were the first people to discover that the fingers, movement of the universe, can be broken down into 24 hours of the day, into 7 days of the week, into 12 months of the year, and 253 days of the year. It was only the Assyrians that added the leap year. They followed the existing body of knowledge created by the Egyptians and came to realize that some periods in February we could have leap year. That was the Egyptian construct.
So how did religion really make us to abandon some of those noble scientific leanings?
Because what religion does is that you leave everything for God.
But the white man that brought religion has not abandoned religion.
Yes. The problem is not in proclivity and penchant, but in emphasis. What I'm saying is that simple research, simple experiment, simple observation, we have lost that. Because if, for example, there are occurrences in our environment, the first thing we have to do is to observe, take records, experiment and see whether we can find maybe general principles governing them, because that's what we talk of, laws of physics.
I was going through an inaugural lecture delivered by Professor Osisioman Woodley, sir, where he recommended a spiritual aspect of security, where we can use spirituality, perhaps some of our old inventions, to know who stole, who killed. And do you think that is part of what you're talking about?
You see, that is another problem. Those things our people did in the past have been generally lumped together under religion. Some of them are not religion. Some of them were scientific. It was also part of the gimmicks of the white man to decry and also stigmatize all those things as religious practices. There were evidence of observation and experimentation by the ancient African people. These are not religious practices, for goodness sake.
So they are not voodoo.
They are not. They are scientific. No matter how crude. Don't forget that science is a progressive development. If you read the work of Thomas Kuhn, the structure of scientific development, I think published in 1963, he made it clear that that's what we call paradigm shift. It shifts from one smaller level to medium level and to a complex level. You know, some of these things we are talking about, for example, electromagnetic waves. So first person, Faraday, came and experimented on electricity. Okay, another person came and experimented on magnetism. Then the third person came and experimented on the two and discovered that both electricity and magnetism were the same.
So we did not improve on our science.
That is the point I'm making. Once the first person got the spark, the following generation should pick it up from there and build upon it. But when I interact with people, you know, they speak with a tone of finality that our forefathers would have done everything. I say no, they would not have done everything. They started it from a particular point and brought it to a certain level. The onus and responsibility lies in us to move it to a higher level.
When Nigerians are discussing the problems of the country, they tend to say God will help us.
It boils down to what I said earlier, emphasis. There's nothing wrong in appealing to God, because man, according to Albert Einstein, these are the same thing in different ways. In fact, religion without science is blind. Science without religion is lame. So the point is emphasis. What are we emphasizing? And that is why our public sector is collapsing, because everything about our public sector now is religion. If you come to official meetings, they say opening prayer, Christian prayer, closing prayer, Muslim prayer. By so doing, we have immediately shown the division among us. Assuming the emphasis is reduced and we now begin to emphasize science, practicality, observation, experimentation, there are some problems we may be able to solve on our own, even without inviting people from outside, even without looking for gadgets or equipment imported from outside. Because I know that in traditional setting, some of these things Europeans are doing today had started. The experiment had started, even opposing the law of gravity. Today, opposing the law of gravity is one of the greatest sciences in the world. How could someone fly 45 or 42,000 feet above sea level? Yes, in the name of aircraft. Our people did that.
How?
Yes, it existed. You know, but you know,
is that what they call witchcraft?
I don't know what you mean by that. This is yes. The Europeans came here, as I said earlier, and they stigmatized all elements of our science. You know, they gave it a bad name, so that we will not even want to identify with it. You see, if you come and paint a picture, a gory picture of a people's culture and civilization, the younger generations will not want to identify with it. That's what colonialism did to us. All the things our forefathers did, from which we would have picked up and developed, we have jettisoned them into oblivion because of the kind of picture painted about them. When you say witchcraft, I don't know what you mean by that. Because we have aircrafts, all these things are crafts. You know, you know, so when you say witchcraft, what actually do you mean? This is a language created by the Europeans to stigmatize all our efforts to develop scientifically.
How come we allowed them to brainwash us?
It's not us, okay? It was our forebears. And you can see what is also happening in our society. The younger ones have not grown because youths are the leaders of tomorrow. So insofar as these people that met the Europeans face to face and were brainwashed are still here, we cannot do anything because they are still piloting, they are still guiding, they are still in charge of what happens in Africa. You couldn't still believe that somebody of 80-something years is still a president of a country in Africa. What else does that person want to offer or contribute to the development of their country? So what I'm saying in essence is that there are the younger ones who were not brainwashed, who are even ready to go back and investigate.
Are the younger ones not even more religious?
Because of the kind of development, because of the kind of upbringing. But that can be changed when you present factual evidence, when you take them through the other side of the story. The problem is that the emphasis is more on the other side. We have not been given the opportunity to even experiment our capacity to the development of science.
Who will give you that opportunity?
The society generally.
The society is inhabited by you and me.
I know, the society. Because, for instance, some of these things we are discussing, people may even see us as deviants because we are deviating from what they hitherto knew as the norms. So society should again make itself receptible to new ideas. Change is a difficult thing, you know, but we cannot stop at that. We must keep on making efforts to change. That's the point I'm making.
We fast over our problems. Is anything wrong with that?
I also use it. It's a technology.
Okay.
Old technology, so to speak. Prayer was the technology used in the medieval period to solve problems not only in Africa but in Europe.
So there's nothing wrong with that.
But what I'm saying is that Europeans themselves who used it in the Middle Ages are now referring to it as obsolete technology. That's why they engaged in Renaissance. And today, the period from the collapse of the Roman Empire, 476 AD, up to 1550, has been described by Europeans as dark ages. Ages when they were in darkness, when they were controlling their world, solving their problems with prayer, not with applied science.
Is that where we are now?
That's where we are. We are
in the 21st century?
Yes. In fact, I did a paper in the year 2007. Okay? That is medieval Europe and post-colonial Africa, a cross-cultural comparison. My conclusion is that the present post-colonial Africa is synonymous with medieval Europe. That is the Dark Ages.
Even when we are using iPad, iPhones, smartphones.
It's not about using it. It's about knowing the laws governing those things. Do you know how they came about? How is it possible that you can put a call through to somebody in the US without any wire connecting it and it will go? That is the function of waves. That is the function of electromagnetic waves. These things are put in there by the Creator. We didn't ask God to put it. God, who created the world, knew that humanity along the line would require some of these things. Even internet itself. Internet was unknown to us. It was in the air. But at a time, people now discovered it and brought it down for human consumption.
You're saying that the black man is fundamentally backward?
Yes, as a result of historical factors. Because as I said earlier, it was not original. Yes, originally we were not backward.
So can the black man escape this and leap into the future vibrantly?
Very possible. Very possible.
How?
If we de-emphasize the role of religiosity in our everyday affairs and we move over to metaphysics and eventually to science. Once we come to that level of scientific innovations, all these problems we are grappling with will become history.
But they said the black man is unnecessarily greedy. He steals everything.
I don't think so. It's a post-colonial black man.
Bad governance is the function of the black man.
That's what I'm saying. It's a post-colonial black man. Because the idea of greed, of course, individuals, human beings naturally are greedy. But not to the extent it has grown today. Today, what we have is dog-eat-dog affair, which is a fundamental aspect of capitalist system of economy. So having introduced capitalism into our system, greed, which is inherent in human beings have become elevated to a higher level. And because poverty, stalks African land, it now becomes a norm that once someone finds oneself in public position, the major aim will become to steal. It's a fundamental aspect of poverty. Even when you refuse to steal, the people around you will be telling you, this is your time, shop. If you refuse to do so and come out, they will vilify you. They will see you as somebody who does not think properly, because you had every opportunity to steal and you refuse to steal. That is a function of poverty, one. The second function is bad social technology. When I say social technology, if you read the work of Eric Binhuka, Origin of Wealth, Evolution, Complexity, and Radical Remaking of Economics, he described it that when you say difference between developed countries and developing countries, it's not about physical technology. That is these gadgets we use. It is about social technology. And when you say social technology, you are talking about the rule of law, absence of corrupt system, good justice system, and so on and so forth. Elections. How do we pilot these social technologies? In our system, we don't have rule of law. People can do anything they like and get away with it. You cannot cheat the system in the developed world because they have straightened out their social technologies. So assuming we straighten out our social technologies, it will become difficult, if not impossible, for people to go into public office and steal.
So can I conclude from what you have told us so far that there's something fundamentally wrong with the black man?
Not fundamental. I said it's a historical. At what point? It is at a point in time, because
not minding the point, there is something fundamentally wrong with the black man.
If you remove the point, not minding the point, presently we can say that there's something fundamentally wrong.
But he can escape it.
Of course, he has all the capacity to escape it. All the things we require, we have them here. I don't think there is any continent in the world that has as much natural endowment as Africa. Even the weapon of mass destruction, United Nations is fighting here and there. The mineral resources required to develop this weapon of mass destruction are found in Africa.
Uranium.
You see, once we begin to look at ourselves, let us engage in introspection. We interpret our world from theological and personal idioms, because nature itself can be calculated. Nature is mathematical. If you listen to Freeman Dyson, he's a scientist. He said that he used his leisure time to calculate very precisely, I'm quoting him verbatim, to calculate very precisely how electrons ought to behave. Now somebody went into the laboratory to carry out the experiment. Lo and behold, the electrons knew the answer. They started resonating at the frequency already calculated by Freeman Dyson. So nature itself is mathematical. So if we begin to study nature using mathematics, we'll be able to understand the underlying laws. That's what we call laws of physics. Once we master the laws of physics, we will be able to manipulate those laws using the principle of stoichiometry, and we get to where we're going.
So basically, if we are able to keep up with these recommendations, a young man who does not have a job, a young woman who is yet to find a husband, will not run to the church to accuse one evil spirit of being behind the retrogression he or she is going through.
That is the answer. Because once you have scientific innovations, the next result will become industrialization. And once we have industrialization, job will be there for everybody. And once job is there for everybody, people will have money in their pocket to marry. And let me tell you again, even recommendations from IMF, World Bank, and so on, the underlying factor has been that once the third world countries industrialize, they will get out of the problems they find themselves today. But you cannot industrialize unless you first and foremost become scientific. Science will give rise to industrialization. Industrialization will give rise to booming economy. Booming economy will give rise to better life. And all these problems which we see today may die once and for all.
Rave 91.7 FM.
You listened to that one with Dr. Olisa Mojama of the Department of History, University of Ibadan. You listen to Dr. Festus Adidayo, a journalist and a political scientist. So the lines are open. Join the conversation now. Do your analysis. You listen to both intellectuals. Call the numbers 090564 87177 and 090242 You can also call 070317 59177. Hello. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, I'm really enjoying your show every time.
Thank you.
My name is Gideon and I'm calling from Ife.
Okay.
Yeah. So I really enjoy the two speakers, honestly, because I have always been an advocate of religion being one of the excesses we have in Nigeria. Because if you talk of this, people bring religion into it. If you do this, it's religion. I mean, it's just getting on becoming. We need to start thinking scientifically and being innovative. So instead of calling on God to come and help, because even the Bible says that heaven helps those who help themselves.
Hey, where is that written? Where is that written?
Huh?
Where is that written in the Bible? I've been looking.
Well, I'm not an avid reader anyway, but I listen to my friend because even the concept of religion itself, I don't buy it. I don't believe in it. So I'm just trying to, from what people say, I know they say that a lot. They usually have that thing. So that's why I'm trying to refer to it. Okay. So if that is even prepared, so if that means we need to look inward in order to become a better person and then to be able to reorientate our society. So I really enjoy the show and I want people to start thinking in that line because even if you are not happy, you are looking for money, people run to the church. Even when they get to the church tells them to pray and all that. But if the church needs money, they ask the members to raise money. So it's just, everything is just upside down, honestly. So thank you very much. I really enjoy your program.
Thank you. Hello. Join the conversation. Hello. Hello, you there? Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, this is Ben calling again.
Mr. Ben.
Yeah, I thank you very much for bringing these two last persons you bring that talked about how Africans can be innovative and who controls politically in a country like Nigeria. It was really, really interesting. And one thing I want to commend you again is you yourself. You're very smart. You bring out points, bring out questions that will draw out more lessons again from what people think.
Thank you.
Just as the last caller that made mention of something that is not written anywhere from Genesis to Revelation, but he just said it because he had people saying it. But you corrected him because you asked him, where is it written in the Bible? You see, that's how people go about in this country. They don't know something, but they will just be putting others, saying what others are saying. We really need to be scientific. We don't really need to base our arguments on what others said that is not even found anywhere. We really need to prove ourselves who we are. Who are we? When we do that, it will enable us to industrialize this country. It will enable us to make money. It will enable us to be free from even these colonial masters that has corrupted and done everything bad on us. That is my take. Thank you very much,
Mr. Benjamin. Thank you. I'm enjoying the conversation. Join the conversation by calling 0905648777. Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Hello, is that Mr. Edmund?
Yes, this is Edmund Obilo on State of the
Mr.
Nation.
Edmund Obilo?
Yes.
Yeah, I concur to your narrative. I would like to remind us, if you look at, I'm Ademola Lawrence.
Okay.
I'm coming from Ibadan.
Okay.
Like I said, if you look at some countries or continents like the India and Chinese, I believe they don't uphold the kind of religion to the extreme we uphold our religion. I think they have their own kind of religion, which is not really the kind of religion we adhere to, strictly Islamic or Christianity. And if you look at the kind of technology advancement they have, I think it is more far advanced than we tend to have in West Africa here or in Africa in general. So we look at the way religion is being bastardized, so to say, in Nigeria especially, and more problems. We tend to accrue more problems day in, day out. So I believe your narrative based on science is what we need to look towards to, especially our government. So that is my reasoning.
Thank you. Thank you for joining the conversation. You join the conversation by calling 090242738808. Hello. Hello. Okay, we have to let that caller go. Just keep trying. The ball is in your court now. Kick it. Call 070-317-59177. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
Yeah, this is Alabamiji Fast calling from the show.
There's something not right about your line. Hello. Just keep trying. Alabamiji, keep trying. There was something wrong with that line. Call. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Turn down the volume of your radio, sir. Hello. So the numbers to call are 09056487177 and 09024273808. Hello.
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 Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. Make it brief. Your line is not too clear.
Okay. Yeah, Alabamiji calling back from the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what we need to do, we really need to change our mentality, the way we approach things, because we are too religious when it comes to such things, when it comes to political things. We really need to change our mentality, because when things happen, we keep asking God to help us. When is God going to help us? We really need to help ourselves in this situation. Somebody is corrupted. Somebody steal our money. A lot of things is going on in our country. You see, God will help us. When are we going to take action by ourselves? When? I mean, if you put food on your table, are you saying you are asking God to come and feed you? It's not possible. We really need to change our mentality and our system in this country so that things can be done in the right way.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hello. Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. This is Ademola from back.
All right, Ademola.
I'll just say this. My own take on the issue is that you cannot take the decisions of one side. It's not possible. I think I will put the blame on our government. I will put that.
You're so faint. Ademola, speak up, sir.
Okay, sir. There are so many things that our youth and our fathers have invented, and they are not getting help from the government. Let's get the point. Now, people are now saying we must take religion, we must follow what they are doing and some other things. I don't agree with that. I don't. So there are so many people, young Nigerians, that have a lot of knowledge of doing something or invent something, but they don't get support. That's my point.
Thank you. Hello.
Well done, my brother Emmanuel from Malaysia.
Emmanuel.
Yes. I always ask and pray for direction from God rather than say, God help me. If God gives you a direction, get the point. It will lead to your faith. Are you with me?
I'm with you.
Yes. We're talking about leader. One thing that bothers me too much is our community leaders, our religious leaders, that entertain, that welcome these so-called leaders. They know them. even in our community, you know, they give them titles. And hard to what the other man say, even in our religious centers, they give these people special treatment. They have specialties, which I believe supposed not to be so. So we are employing them. They know these people. Let them continue to speak, to preach, you know, a change of mind to them. And maybe God will give them direction and eventually change them. What can we say? Yakubu, the former NMPC group managing director, the building where he was keeping the money found in his house, you cannot believe that the road to that building was not tied, was just started, and you have a lot of money in that place. And there's a leader in that community. Well done, my brother.
Thank you. Thank you. Patrick Otieno Lumumba, a staunch Pan-Africanist, spoke about the African Union and the character of Africans on Sahara TV. He said that the black man is walking the wrong direction. Lumumba is a Kenyan professor of law. He served as the director of Kenya Anti-Corruption Commission from September 2010 to August 2011. He is currently the director of the Kenya School of Law. Listen to his perception about Africa.
You know what is amazing about the African Union, which is the immediate success of the OAU, is that it's beginning to let Africa down. I was amazed about a month ago when Zimbabwean president, whom I respected in his early days as a freedom fighter and as a man of vision and intellect, when he went to the African Union and made a donation of $1 million, and the African Union accepted it. In a situation where the people in Zimbabwe are suffering, where there is almost 80 to 90% unemployment. And the reason why the African Union has become, as you rightly say, a toothless bulldog is because there are no leaders who are true crusaders for the agenda of the African Union in the manner that we had in the early days, when we had Nkrumah, when we had Nyerere, when we had Haile Selassie, when we had Gamal Abdel Nasser. Today, in a very perverted concept of non-interference in the affairs of other nations, and in a perverted understanding of the idea of sovereignty, people are not their brothers and sisters keepers, so that we know that there is a festering wound in South Sudan, and we are doing nothing about it. We know there is a festering wound in the Cameroons, and we are doing nothing about it. A festering wound in Togo, and we are doing nothing about it. And even when the leaders congregate in Addis Ababa for their annual jamboree, they don't discuss these problems. Right now, I would have thought that there should be an extraordinary session of the African Union to discuss a number of things, to discuss the countries which are in trouble, and I'm mentioning them ad nauseum, to ask the question, what is the problem in the Central African Republic? How can it be resolved? What is the problem in Togo, in Gambia, in the Cameroons, and in many other countries, so that we have African solutions to African problems? Because what we'll see very shortly is that the UN will sit down and send a peacekeeping force. And when there is no peace to be kept, and they send peacekeeping forces, when, in a manner of speaking, the horse will have bolted away. So the African Union is very disappointing. When Dr. Mahamat was appointed as the chairman of the commission, I thought that this was a new person that would come with new energy to replace Nkosana and Lamini Zuma. But what I see is lethargy. What I see is lack of enthusiasm. What I see is lack of direction. What I see is continued pain. I was amazed about a month ago, if I'm not wrong, when the international community asked the African Union to nominate a country to sit in the Security Council, and they nominated the Democratic Republic of Congo. How can you possibly nominate the Democratic Republic of Congo, whose president has refused to hold election, whose country is generating refugees, whose government is controlling Kinshasa only in real terms, and where there is conflict everywhere, and where the resources are being taken away by the Chinese, the Malaysians, and the Belgians, and other rogue individuals from Europe and America, and you nominate such a person? You nominate a hyena to sit in an assembly which is judging how goats should be preserved? It is a tragedy of gigantic proportion, and we consistently do this in Africa, and we think is normal. Africa has now normalized the absurd, and we think that sense is what we do, yet it is nonsense. And unfortunately, many of us who are not in positions of influence, our younger generation particularly, think that this does not matter. This matters. If you look at the history of revolutions, it was always the young people. As early as 1908 in Turkey, it is the young people who came up to rise up against the dictatorial regime. We remember even during the Bolshevik Revolution, it was the young people. We remember during the civil rights movement led by Martin Luther King Jr. and Ralph Abernathy, among others, it was young people. In 1968 in France, when there was a problem, initially in 1958 and 1968, it was young people. We remember in Tiananmen Square, it was young people. We remember in Korea in 1908, it was the young people. In South Africa, in the Sharpeville massacre in 1969, it was the young people. In Soweto in 1976, it was the young people. In the Arab world, it's the young people. But our young people in Africa today are imprisoned by Arsenal and Manchester United and Barcelona and Real Madrid, and our young girls are imprisoned by cheap South American soap operas and Beyonce and all. How can that be? How can a continent be so accursed that our young people have no sense of our history, no sense of our presence, no sense of our future? No wonder the Chinese are conquering us by the day. And we are wondering. John F. Kennedy said in 1960, a society whose young men and women are in a constant state of slumber will never realize our potential. Our young people must wake up. It is only the day that they wake up that they will be able to send a clear message to those in positions of leadership that you cannot continue to misgovern us. I look forward to those days.
Professor Patrick Otieno Lumumba speaking there. You have 30 seconds to comment. 30 seconds. Hello. Okay. Hello. Okay, we have to let that caller go. Turn down the volume of your radio set, okay? 30 seconds. You listen to Professor Patrick Otieno Lumumba. Hello.
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 Yes, I need that sense of urgency in your voice. Hello,
yes,
are you there?
This is Dele Abiola calling from Otogo.
All right. 30 seconds.
See, all what you have been explaining and even the oath, they are just parts of our thoughts. But the unfortunate thing here is that an hungry dog is an angry dog.
Thank you. Hello. Hello. Just hit the nail on the head. You listen to Otieno Lumumba there. What do you have to say? Hello. 30 seconds.
Hello,
good afternoon.
Mr. Adada from Otogo.
Okay, Ada, good to hear your voice.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your program. I just want to chip in from what the previous comment. Yes, I want to say something about.
It's Professor Lumumba I'm talking about now. Professor Lumumba, don't take me back. Professor Lumumba, 30 seconds. That's the point. Okay, okay. Hello. All right, we have to let the callers go at this point, okay? The radio man must go now. Okay, let's do justice to this caller.
Hello, sir.
Hello, Ada.
Yes, sir. Professor Lumba is talking about Africans. We youth, we are the one that take charge, not our grandparents anymore. They are the ones to move forward because they don't have much things to offer to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's it. Remember, you can read my blog. My blog is www.eobilo.com. I have my philosophies too, so you can go there, read my blog, leave your comments there. I have a fan page on Facebook, a State of the Nation page on Facebook. Now, every Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm on that page live, video streaming, talking about Nigeria. I did one yesterday night where I asked the question, what is Buhari? That video is still on the State of the Nation page. On that page, you can have access to most of my interviews. So all you need to do is to like the State of the Nation page. Scroll down. A lot is happening on the page. A lot of historical stories are there. So join the conversation there. You have any comments, you have anything to say to me about the program, you can send a text or WhatsApp message to the number 080-999-18449. That is my number, the State of the Nation number, 080-999-18449. 080-999-18449. You don't have to call the number. I will not pick it. Just send a text or a WhatsApp message. I am Edmund Obilo. I worked with Gideon Udoesian to bring you this edition of State of the Nation. Thank you for listening.
Oh, well, just